Welcome to the Respectful Divorce Podcast. If you're considering divorce, it's important to know that you have options for how you divorce. On the Respectful Divorce Podcast, we explore those options and provide advice from divorce professionals. I'm your host today, Tim Crouch, and we're talking with members of Collaborative Divorce Nashville. The president of that group is Demi Marks, who is a collaborative divorce attorney. Catherine Eaton is also with us today. She is a collaborative divorce attorney. And Cheryl Panther is a divorce financial professional. Thank you all for being with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, so let's begin with this question about how you all each got involved in the collaborative divorce process. And Demi, since you're the president of this group, how did you get involved?
Sure. Yeah. I went to law school thinking I was going to be an entertainment lawyer. I went to UCLA, and I did it. And it just wasn't for me. And I had a major crisis of conscience and signed up for taking like any sort of practical skill set that I could learn. And I kind of back-ended into divorce work by virtue of the collaborative process. I signed up for a class called Collaborative Law with, I didn't know at the time, but the esteemed Woody Mostyn, who has since served kind of as a mentor to me. And my mom is a mental health professional, and I just thought it was a really creative way to be a lawyer and to work with people, actually helping them. It wasn't a one-size-fits-all model. It allowed me to not feel like I was just chained to a desk, and really provide a service that I feel like is really missing. I grew up, my best friend's parents were divorced, and man, they could have really benefited from, two trained neutrals in that process. And I pretty much committed myself at that point to becoming a divorce attorney under the guise of just doing the collaborative process. That wasn't how my career unfolded, but it was pretty much my North Star. When my husband and I moved here, I sought out only professionals in that space, and I've been pursuing it ever since.
Yeah. Catherine, what about you? How did you end up as a divorce attorney and particularly in the collaborative field?
I've been mediating cases since like 2005, so like a long time. And along with mediating, I've been litigating. So as a mediator, it was always been interesting to me to hear one side of facts and then walk into another room and hear the same facts, but a spin on their take on what was happening and what the issues were. So when hearing that, I started thinking there's a lot more commonality, and it's great if you can get the parties in the same room, but that's not happening. But there certainly is a better way than litigation. So I happened to run across a book through the American Bar Association, the author Pauline Tesler, who is Demi mentioned Woody Moss, but Pauline Tesler is one of those people who started the collaborative movement moving. And my book is so old, it came with a disc in the back, and I still have that book, but that's how I first found out about collaborative. And as Pauline Tesler and Woody Moss got other people interested, involved, and knowledgeable, and now there's training for collaborative, and it's really, really grown, then I've hooked in full boat and said, this is the way to do it.
So, Cheryl, what about you? You're not a lawyer. You're a financial professional.
Not. So I came to this through a little bit different door than my attorney colleagues. I was doing some divorce-related work as an expert witness and doing expert work, and had become really sort of disenchanted with the adversarial nature of divorce litigation, and felt that it was very detrimental to families, really pulled them apart in ways that perhaps could remain intact through co-parenting relationships and those sorts of things. And I was lamenting this to another financial professional colleague of mine. And she said to me, I want you to come to a meeting. And I was like, what? She said, no, really, just trust me, show up. And she didn't tell me what the meeting was. She just told me where and when to show up. And I trusted her. I showed up, and it was a meeting of the local collaborative practice group. And everyone introduced themselves, and there were attorneys and mental health professionals and, of course, financial professionals. And I was immediately blown away that that meeting happened to be a case consultation meeting where they were sort of debriefing a collaborative case that had happened, and talking about it and kind of the good, bad, and the ugly, and really processing that together. And I was blown away by a number of things. First of all, that there was a group of professionals that were committed to helping families problem solve rather than fanning the flames of animosity, that they really wanted to help the families guide and direct the resolution, and be in charge of their process, that they were committed to the confidentiality, but yet transparency of the process within the process and the full disclosure. And the things that they were talking about, I wasn't hearing on the litigated side of the street. And I walked out of that meeting and immediately started searching for where can I go get trained. I flew all the way across the country. And got trained, and haven't looked back since. And now I'm a trainer. So that's been 15 years ago.
So, as a financial professional, what is your role in the collaborative divorce process? What do you do?
Yeah, well, what I don't do is tell the spouses what they're supposed to do. I don't give them the answer. I don't solve it for them. What I do is help them gather all of the relevant financial information that they're going to need to be able to make their decisions in the process. And then I help to educate them. That's really my primary role. And sometimes I'm educating the other professionals involved as well as the spouses. But the idea is for them to have enough financial education in whatever way that might be needed by the respective spouses so that they come into decision-making meetings feeling well informed, and that they understand the choices before them, and they can make good decisions. And the most important thing that I've learned in the collaborative divorce process is that I have to let go of the outcome. The outcome isn't mine. It belongs to the clients. And sometimes it's okay for them to make a financial decision for a non-financial reason. And I need to make space for them to be able to do that. But I do that, again, by making sure they're well educated. And so they know the trade-offs. They know the risk reward, if you will, of the decisions that they're making.
So one of the things that I sort of hear about the financial professional that's always intrigued me is this idea of creating some financial modeling about what their post-divorce might look like.
Absolutely. And I think that helps really, again, inform the decision making, because they can see not just what I'll have in this moment or what's available or what financial resources are available to me now, but how will those resources evolve over time? What income and support. I often talk about cash inflows and cash outflows and managing those, and what are those going to look like over time as your family grows and changes, and as you move through life. So really being able to understand that, again, so you can make decisions, and maybe it's a different asset that you need to be able to support your goals, or meet your needs, or perhaps it is an ongoing income stream that we need to be able to identify.
Wow. Catherine and Demi, how is your role as the attorney for the clients in the collaborative process different from your role if it's a litigated process?
Less paperwork.
I think this is there's two different like brain caps you almost have to put on when you're litigating and when you're in a collaborative process, and there are so many rungs in between those. But when you're in the collaborative process, and I do look at all my clients as teammates, but really, I mean, you're giving up a lot of control of even process. Like, you're in meetings and your client is speaking on their behalf, and you're there to educate, but you are not there to be their mouthpiece or to overstep in a way that in a litigated model, I think, advocacy is perceived as this like bulldoggedness of, fighting fire first. I have this motto that my associate makes fun of me, like honey first. And I think the collaborative process really just like lends itself to that. And so the role is very clearly laid out as such at the beginning. Like, it is all papered. I think I do more paperwork in terms of like, it's an organized process. So you're walking alongside your client with it. You're not like drumming up work. You're following a very thoughtful process in terms of like, okay, today we're going to focus on this thing, and I'm going to, educate you on my expertise of the law, but I'm not stepping into other lanes. Whereas if I'm in a litigated process, I'm doing a little bit of Cheryl's work. I'm doing financial stuff. I'm doing a little bit of the mental health professional's role, and I am not qualified to do those things. I didn't go to school to do them. But in family law, you often do, and especially a litigated model, when clients don't have resources to have all these professionals, you have to kind of cycle in and out. And the collaborative process really allows you, to operate in your purest form as a lawyer, and just doing, the paperwork and education and advocacy, but I think more from an education bent than from a mouthpiece perspective. So I do think it is a really different way that you have to show up and turn one thing off to segue into a new one.
Can I make an observation as a neutral in the process? And I get to observe lots of different attorneys, and the primary difference that I have noticed in advocacy in the collaborative process versus in litigation. In litigation, the attorney is sort of the white knight charging off to battle, standing in front of the client and protecting them. Where in the collaborative process, I have this mental image of the attorney being an advisor, a trusted advisor, and standing beside the client and walking the journey with them, or sometimes even standing right behind them with their hand on their shoulder, being that sort of support and educator. And so those are kind of the two mental images I have about advocacy as it is in the collaborative process versus litigation.
Catherine, those different mindsets, how difficult is that to do?
Some people it's really difficult for, and that's why they don't practice collaborative. Other people, not so much. And most everyone who does practice collaborative, whether they're an attorney, a financial, a mental health professional, we're all trained as mediators. So that helps our brain to be able to see maybe some same facts that are black and white as far as documents are concerned, but very different perspectives. And then in the collaborative process, just to circle back on, I think it's less paperwork, is that we focus in on and gather the papers and documents that are going to help the parties, instead of casting this wide net of provide me all of these plethora of documents that may or may not apply to them. And even in a formal discovery process, even if it doesn't apply to them and no documents exist, it takes time, money, and energy to say, we don't have that. So I like that the collaborative process jumps right to it, and we address the issues that are relevant to the parties in helping them to resolve their matter.
Yeah, there's something really I think amazing in the sound of that of the couple working together to get to the end result, and that's what collaborative does versus any other process, right?
I think so. And you know what? When the professionals are all gone and the lawyers are all gone and the judges are all gone, it's the parties who are left, and especially if you have children. So working through this process and making decisions that work best for their family and their situation makes a world of difference than a system where somebody's going to tell you how it's going to be.
Yeah. So this is the Respectful Divorce Podcast, and we're doing this ahead of Divorce with Respect Week, which comes up March 3rd through 9th. When we talk about respect in divorce, what does respect look like in a divorce? Cheryl, to start with you there.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think respect can be present in other processes other than collaborative, but I think it is inherent in the collaborative process in that we do two things. The professionals involved create this client forward process, this container that prioritizes the clients and their needs, and we trust them to make decisions for themselves. And that's really, so first and foremost, we respect the clients. And then we encourage them to, of course, speak respectfully in their interactions with one another throughout the process and with the other professionals. But I think just setting that stage and saying, we trust that you know your family system the best. And that you're going to come to good answers and good conclusions working together. We respect that you could work together and do this. I don't know that there's any other process that really speaks to that and empowers people in that way.
Yeah. Demi, what does respect mean from your perspective?
Yeah. I went to a CLE once, and this has really just stuck with me. There was an attorney there who spoke, and she was telling me about her practice, and she said, I always tell parents that my goal is for them to be able to dance with each other at their children's wedding. And I thought that was such a profound sentiment for people who are redefining their relationship. And I always tell people when I'm trying to tell them about the collaborative process, like, hey, if this is a goal of yours, like, and you want a process that is supportive of your children and your families, any alternative dispute resolution is going to provide you that. The collaborative process for sure does, but one where you guys are dictating what makes sense for you is going to allow you to remove some of the acrimony that intentionally comes by having a third party decide after you've spent quite a lot of money getting in front of them. And so I think, respect is born out of this mutual desire to have some sort of continuing relationship and segue from, being partners to being, friends, co-parents, some other grouping that maintains some form of a relationship. And I think like approaching your divorce with that in mind is really different than people who come in and say, hey, I want a bulldog, I want to scorched earth this person, and I don't care what it cost. That there's no respect there. Like there's just no way around that. But if you are looking to maintain some relationship with somebody that you at some point in time did love and cared about and committed yourself to, I think this process and most alternative dispute resolutions really provides an umbrella to do so.
Catherine, your thoughts?
Divorce with respect. Wow. I think that means listening to each other. And I think that when you listen to each other, you can find that commonality. And even if you're not going to dance at your child's wedding together, maybe you have no children, I think that divorcing with respect allows you to then have your heart and your possibilities open to a new relationship where you can find your forever person without the scarring and the trauma So I think that having that skill set of being able to work through those issues and say goodbye to each other and uncouple is important for everyone.
Yeah. And I guess it's important probably to add, this is not a kumbaya divorce. It's not, this is still hard work.
Yeah, some of the highest conflict cases that I've been involved with have been in the collaborative process, and I still maintain that it was a better experience and a better result from the family than what they would have experienced had they gone to traditional litigation and gone to court.
And keep it private. If it really is contentious, the last thing you want is everybody knowing your business.
Yeah.
You have that support. I know we don't have a representative here who does that role, but of a mental health professional, which I think makes the process pretty unique. I mean, that person is your coach. They're guiding the process. They're setting the tone. They're doing the individual work with each party. And I think that that does allow for some of that respect to come in, because they have, a pulse on everybody's individual temperatures in order to, call breakouts and, identify to each person what triggers are. So you're going in with a bit more education, which just makes, the platform kind of more equal for everybody to have a respectful conversation.
Demi, you're president of Collaborative Divorce Nashville, and that is a collaborative practice group. What does the practice group do, and how are you all participating in Divorce with Respect Week?
Yeah, so our group is an organization that holds all of the members that are collaboratively trained, be it lawyers, mental health professionals, financial professionals. We have some parent coaches. We have some mortgage lenders and realtors. Our main objective is both to educate the public and also to provide kind of like a landing spot for our members to benefit from one another through social events and educational experiences and various other things we put on throughout the year that allow us as a group to spread our mission statement, within and to the public, which I think, having been trained in California and coming here, we still have quite a ways to go in terms of just telling people kind of what it is we do. And so I'm grateful for opportunities like today to talk on a podcast about this work, because I do think, you hear it and you're like, what is that Kool-Aid they're all drinking? But it is, when you hear about it and you actually spend the time to learn about it, and that is kind of the mission statement of our group, it's a process that is servicing people at the end of the day. And so, CDN hopes to make people aware of the process and its existence. So Divorce with Respect Week and how we're participating, our members have committed to volunteer their time for 30-minute consultations during the week of March 3rd to members of the community who desire to learn about this process and other processes. And we have pledged as an organization to participate, and then any of our individual members who do want to offer their services are allowed to do so. So we're really hoping that it's an educational piece for the public. If somebody is thinking about getting divorced and they have never heard of collaborative divorce or just want to learn more, this is our time to really allow them to explore that option.
Great. Now, if somebody wants to get in touch with each of you, how can they learn more about you and reach out to you? Cheryl?
Yeah, well, first and foremost would be to go to the Collaborative Divorce Nashville website, and you can find all three of us there. With me specifically, would be to go to lbmc.com, and you can find me there and the services that my firm provides around family law support.
Catherine?
Collaborative Divorce Nashville. Again, you're going to find all of us there, plus all of the collaboratively trained, active, collaborative law process people, financials, mental health, attorneys on that website. And then my individual website is Eaton, Eaton, firm.com.
All right. And Demi.
I don't need to repeat my colleagues. You guys know CBN's where to find me, but my personal firm, McCracken Kuhn Marks, you can find us at mccracken.law. And if you want to email me, my email is Demi, DEMI, at mccracken.law.
All right. Well, we're going to put those links to your websites and to the Collaborative Divorce Nashville site in the show notes. Thank you all for joining us today on the Respectful Divorce Podcast.
Thanks for having us, Tim.
Thank you for having us.
This important programming note, Divorce with Respect Week is March 3rd through 9th. During Divorce with Respect Week, you can talk with lawyers, divorce coaches, divorce financial experts for free. To learn more about the divorce process and your options, simply go to divorcewithrespectweek.com to find a professional near you. That's divorcewithrespectweek.com. This is Tim Crouch reminding you that collaborative divorce is a better way to untie the knot.